This is Detroit's Morning Answer with John Anthony on FM 92.7 and AM 1400. The Answer.
I look at the numbers every day. On Friday, I looked at the numbers. There's over 62,000 children found by the Trump administration. Children that weren't even being looked for under the Biden administration. President Trump saved over 62,000 children's lives. Some of these children were in sex trafficking, we found them. Some were in forced labor. Some were being mistreated. I can't even discuss some of the mistreatment we found out about. President Trump, again, proves why he's the greatest president in my lifetime. Over 62,000 children rescued by President Trump. Again, children that were ignored and weren't being looked for under President Biden.
You know, immigration is not a slogan. It's not some trending clip or a political stunt. It is a living national security issue that shapes cities, schools, hospitals, labor markets, and the safety, the most important, the safety of everyday Americans. President Trump entered his second term with a clear mandate from voters. Restore order at the border after 5 years of policies that weakened enforcement, overwhelmed our men and women who were agents, and allowed cartel networks to thrive. Under this administration, the border is the most secure it has been in years. Yet, you turn on the media, and they continuously insist on holding on to a crisis narrative that no longer reflects the facts on the ground. And at the same time, as you heard Tom Homan, the border czar, new revelations about more than 62,000 unaccompanied or missing children have forced this nation to confront a moral failure larger than politics. Now listen, these stories do not come from headlines. They come from agents. They come from the front line where danger, exhaustion, and duty collide. Today we speak with someone who has carried that weight on his shoulders. Someone who represents thousands of agents who work in the dark, the dust, the danger, and the places America rarely sees. Today we speak the truth with Paul Perez. He is the president, he's the president of the National Border Patrol Council. He's a veteran Border Patrol agent with years of experience in some of the most dangerous sectors of the southern border. He represents the men and women tasked with protecting the sovereignty of the United States. He understands enforcement, intelligence, trafficking patterns, and operational reality that never makes the evening news. Paul Perez, welcome back to Detroit's Morning Answer.
Hey, it's good to be with you. Thank you for having me.
You know, I really do. Every time I see you on the news, every time I see you talking, I'm like, I send a prayer up for you because the work that you are doing to protect the men and women who are protecting us, it's a thankless job. And I don't think people truly and really understand the stress that happens with the men and women who operate in ICE and the Border Patrol. So every time I see you, sir, I send up a prayer for you and all of those who are out there doing God's work, sir.
Well, we appreciate that. It means a lot to us. The support, it very, very much means a lot to us. So thank you so much.
Now, Paul, you heard him. You heard Tom Homan. More than 62,000 unaccompanied or missing children tied to the border have been identified. What is the real story behind that number?
Well, just like you said, the Biden administration, they allowed anyone and everyone to come into our country. And there was a time where you needed a minor child to come with you. And they were renting out children. The cartels were renting children. They were allowing anybody with a child to come in and come through. And the Biden administration exploited that. You know, they exploited the fact that the cartels were allowing these people in. So we had tens and tens of thousands. You know, at the beginning of this administration, we had several 100,000 that were missing because of the fact that they did not allow us to vet the sponsors. They did not allow us to release them only to family. It was the biggest, one of the biggest conflicts we had with our management teams, where we were like, this person is not related to this child, and you're forcing us to release them.
Yeah.
We need to call somebody else in. We need to do DNA testing.
Yeah.
And the administration would say, no, release these people. We've got more people coming in. We've got to let them out.
So, Paul, I've always wondered this. Why telegraph to the cartels and to anybody that would take advantage of this? Why telegraph them what to do to bring people into this country and yet give up on them? Why give them the way in without doing everything you just said, DNA testing? What's the true measure? I mean, what's really going on behind the scenes for this to allow you got a lot of people. I'm not into a lot of those conspiracy theories, but this, when it comes to kids and sex trafficking, human trafficking kids, these are God's children. Why aren't we doing enough? What broke in the system?
I think the administration, all they wanted to do was allow as many people as they could. In my opinion, they wanted to change the electorate. That's what I saw.
Yep.
I think they wanted the immigrants, the illegal aliens, to have a pathway to citizenship and then be beholden to their party. And they were importing voters. That's the way I look at it. And they didn't care at what cost. At cost to the children, at cost to the women that and teenagers that were being exploited, human trafficked. They didn't care. They turned a blind eye to all of that because all they wanted was the power and control of the House, the Senate, and the White House. That's what they ultimately wanted so they could change this country.
I definitely agree.
I believe it 100%. That's what they did.
So what are agents witnessing with this family fraud, with this recycled children? And because I think now that it's all out there in the open, especially the cartel exploitation part, what's one of the things that most Americans still do not know about this witnessing with the as it relates to the family fraud, recycled children, and the cartel exploitation? What's the next avenue that they're now exploiting? Sorry.
So, of course, you know that we've essentially sealed the border. We've shut the border down to the point that we have the lowest numbers in the history of this country, not only in administrations, but this country. And so because of that, the cartels for them, a secure and closed border means they can charge more money. Mm-hmm. So it's good business for them. They can charge more money. Now, they're not successful, but that doesn't mean that people aren't going to try and cross. So the amount of money that they can charge goes up, especially for their narcotics as well, because they're going to continue trying to get their narcotics over. So what they see women and children as is extra money because they can funnel those types of people, women and children, to the human traffickers, whether it's coming into the U.S. or whether it's going across the world. These cartels do not care what they do as long as they're getting paid for it.
Yeah.
They are ruthless people. And, there are vulnerable populations like women and children that they will take advantage of 100% and do what they can to make money off of them.
I want to play you some audio. Tom Homan he made that comment about the 62,000 kids on CNN's. He was being interviewed by Dana Bash. And it's like, instead of focusing on the good work, this is what she wanted to focus on. I want to get your take.
And then there's just the aggressive tactics that we are seeing in video after video. You're comfortable with those tactics that we're all seeing with our own eyes?
Look, threats on ICE officers are up 1,200%. They're being doxxed on social media. They're getting death threats every day. They've been attacked. They've been shot at. And these officers out there look for the worst of the worst. So they're protecting themselves. And I think they're following the law. And if any ICE officer, Border Patrol, acts out of policy or does something inappropriate, they'll be held accountable. But we got to remember, they're under attack, and we're at a place in this country where all of a sudden the ones who enforce the law are the bad guys, and the ones who broke the laws are victims. I'm going to trust the men and women of ICE and Border Patrol who've been trained very well. They're doing the right thing. But I'll say again, if someone does something inappropriate, out of policy, illegal, they need to be held accountable. But I simply think I haven't seen that. And again, I'm not in every arrest. I'm not in every operation. I trust the men and women of ICE and Border Patrol to do the right thing.
And so do I. So, Paul Perez, my question becomes this. And before I want to say something before I ask the question. A lot of people who are out there defending the illegal immigrants, they don't even know what they're being arrested for. You got sexual offenders. You got people who were probably some of these people who brought these kids in, and they don't care. Now, ICE and Border Patrol, they face these accusations of excessive force and this so-called unfair targeting. What is the truth behind these claims from the perspective of your agents?
So look, our agents are out there in a difficult situation, having to deal with these protesters and the agitators that are interfering and impeding them. And so those are the people that they're having, these scuffles with, but they're trying to do everything they can to avoid any unnecessary uses of force. But our agents are very, very well trained, just like Tom Homan said. They have exercised a lot of discretion. They have exercised a lot of apprehension in using force in these instances. They're very well trained. They know exactly what they can do. They know exactly how to do it. And the fact is, these agitators are the ones that are going out there and interfering with our officers. They're not even the ones that we're going after. They're trying to help these people either escape or get notified that our ICE officers and Border Patrol agents are coming. And so that's what you're seeing on these videos. These are not necessarily the people that they're going after. These are people that are getting in the way. And so I feel that, there has already, because of the rhetoric, there has already been people that have lost their lives, there have been people that have seriously been hurt, including our agents and officers, because of what these people are doing. So they need to be held accountable. They need charges filed on them. And the Department of Justice is going after every single person that interferes with or impedes or assaults our agents and officers. The doxing aspect, that impacts not only our agents and officers, but their families. And so we're not playing games with these people. We are going after them because of what they're doing to try to interfere with our lawful law enforcement actions.
Charlie LaDuff here in Michigan, he went on a ride-along with ICE agents. And if you're not following Charlie LaDuff, you probably should, because he went on a ride-along, and now he's a huge supporter of what you guys are doing. But here's the question to you. What perception do you think would change instantly if every American had to stand next to your agents for just one shift?
Oh, it would change completely. That happened. I mean, as an example, when you had these people that wanted everybody to come into the country during the Biden administration, they were fine as long as they were, overwhelming the border communities from California all the way to Texas, especially here in Texas. But when Governor Abbott started busing them into their neighborhoods, into their districts, that's when they said, hey, hold on a minute. We were good with it as long as it was in your area, not ours. Yeah. I think the same thing would happen. If they went out there and they saw what our agents and officers face every day, their attitudes, their minds would change, and they would realize that what we're doing is targeted enforcement. We're going after these criminals, these rapists, these murderers.
Yeah. Now,
and they would change their minds and say, yeah, you know what? I support exactly what they're doing. They're trying to protect America.
Now, Paul Perez, there was a group of conservatives that came out to Dearborn to confront what they feel like is a radicalization of Islam. Is the Trump administration preparing to expand into states like Michigan, where cartel movement is rising, or because people don't understand the hub that Michigan, the Midwest, serves as it relates to this drug and human trafficking? Is Michigan on the radar?
Look, what I can tell you is President Trump is fulfilling his promise to America to protect this country. And we are going to go everywhere that we have identified cartel activity, illegal alien groups. We're going to go after everybody, the worst of the worst, and we're going to sack up anybody else that happens to get in the way that's illegal. But I can tell you, there's no location that is off limits to us.
Under Barack Obama, more than 3.1 million people were deported. And in 2012, I think the number says, about 410,000 removals were recorded, which is the highest year in American history. How does this historical context reshape the narrative about enforcement today? Because nobody said anything to Barack Obama, and he didn't have to fight through sanctuary cities and sanctuary states, because they can make this a lot easier should they allow you guys to do your job the way you did it under Barack Obama.
Yeah, you mean the hypocrisy.
Oh.
The fact that they just completely ignored everything he did, including, the kids in cages, where they blamed the Trump administration when it was actually the Obama administration. But let's look at what's going on today as well. the hypocrisy with what they're accusing the Trump administration of double tapping, these narco boats, going after these narco boats. President Biden used drones over 500 separate occasions, including by killing a U.S. citizen. And there wasn't a peep from the Democrats.
Yeah.
But now that Trump is doing it, oh my God, it's human rights, it's this, that, and the other. President Trump is going after those people who want to kill and poison Americans. He's going after those people that have committed crimes in the United States. Everything that we're doing, we have a lawful purpose to do. And the hypocrisy of the Democrats is at its loudest.
Yeah. Well, Paul, I'm definitely going to reach out again. I said I was going to reach out last time I interviewed you, and life got busy. But I'm definitely going to send you a message. I want to do a ride along with ICE, either in Michigan or in Illinois. You just let me know. I'm going to reach out. I would love to do it. Let me know if it's possible. I still got my bulletproof vest when I was a cop. I still have it. It works. So I would love to do that, sir, if that's feasible.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right.
We appreciate the support and reach out.
Paul Perez, one quick question, though, because I think this is key. And I think people in America truly need to understand. When history looks back at this moment, what do you hope it says about the agents you lead and the truth they carry, even when the nation refused to see it?
That they carried out their mission to protect and secure this border and protect America, and they did it with honor and integrity.
Paul Perez, president of you just stumbled. I was stumbled right there. President of the National Border Patrol Council. I want to thank you for the work that you're doing on behalf of the many, many, many men and women who are protecting not only our borders but are within our cities, ensuring that we get the very violent, the very volatile people off our streets. I know you don't get it much, but thank you.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
All right, that's Paul Perez, president of the National Border Patrol Council. Guys, pray for him. Not just for him, but pray for the men and women who are out there doing the job, a very thankless job. They're getting doxxed. They're getting shot at. We have to make sure that we protect the men and women who are out there for your safety. It's truly about your safety. And that's what Paul is doing. And Paul is taking, guys, I don't know if you see the arrows that he's taking. He's taking a lot of arrows. So we have to pray for these people, and specifically Paul, as he leads and as he's the president of the National Border Patrol Council. We'll be right back.